So the past couple of episodes of this show have been pretty damn fun while actually progressing things in a pretty believable direction given the kind of four-way romance of how things could go down. Really, it's a love triangle, but still the sister throws me for a loop if they're going to try to really bait us in on that not incest but is incest plotline, or if it is just going to be more of a needy thing of her brother being ripped away from her. Either way, I think the show still continues to show other harem anime who's boss in terms of having likable female characters in every department and having a lead male who, gets embarrassed and flustered, but still is miles above most in the same genre that you typically see time and time again. And I think from him finally getting his date with Hiro, but not really having it go according to plan, because even though he was convinced it was just going to be another stamp collecting adventure, the man was taken for a ride. And it was kind of one of those rides where it's fun for the first bit, but goddamn, she has too much energy and stamina for her own good. And I love the directing of having the constant loop of him going on the same rides, the same dizzy adventures, in the little teacups getting spun around, the roller coaster loop, him getting thrown down a mile a second. The man was just ready for death by the end of that date, and it wasn't as romantic as he was hoping, but hey, he got that Hiro date, and honestly, it feels like she is developing feelings for the guy, which will definitely make things even more complex when it comes time for potentially him to actually make a decision on where he wants to go. You have Sachi moving in, which I thought was fun, even though I wasn't thinking about it. In hindsight, this was the only way forward, if I'm being honest, because there's no way you have the conflicting brother feelings, also wanting to see your sister, being like, well, I grew up with this boy my entire life and I was always next to him, so it's that feeling of him being ripped away. So there's a lot of conflicting things going on there, while also teasing us with how it could get spicy with her dropping her towel and him being passed out so he didn't see anything. But him walking in on probably Sachi and Erika changing is probably just a matter of time if you ask me. But then also Erika being someone who, I like the plotline, which in episode, I believe it was 7, when they end with the beach, of her saying, if I tell you everything's gonna change. I like the fact that he comes to his own conclusion that he's not ready to hear that, which I'm sure some people might criticize as, no, he's got to man up and hear it, but he's confused himself, right? The girl he's had a crush on his entire life, or, at the very least, the entire time he's been romantically interested anyway. He's now getting progression towards that, but now he's engaged to this girl who he originally had no interest in, but also is developing feelings. So he's in this conflicting feeling of, if he hears that, who knows what it might do to his desire with Hiro, and he's just confused, all things considered. Though, they definitely have some fun with the engagement angle, because there's that moment, I can't remember which episode it was because I watched these two episodes back to back, but when Sachi's sitting on the couch with Erika because ultimately, he's going on a date and she's super upset by that, the fact that she's he's engaged and he's out with another woman, how lewd or just how ridiculous. And Erika's I'm not actually going to marry the guy. I don't give a shit. And the fact of the matter is they both seemingly are having fun together. But it honestly just gives me the impression that if, ultimately Erika and Nagi end up, whether in a relationship or do get married someday, I don't know, she definitely gives me the vibe of open relationship cuck queen or something, because this woman is a free spirit. And I feel like she'd be more than okay having more than one person in said relationship, which might even shake up the harem formula more than we're already expecting in a show like this. But I thought over the past 2 episodes, they both wore the heart on its sleeve, but also made it as goofy as possible. I think the ending with the fishing trip was nice because you get a callback to how long he's been took on these little fishing adventures. He's always been seasick, he never beats his dad, and it seems like no matter how hard he tries, he just catches little tiny fish as, he's out there catching the 20-pounders. But I like the fact that it's not just his dad being an asshole and ripping him from the dead of night. The fact is he knows when Nagi's stressed or there's a lot going on, ultimately that allows him to just forget about his worries and makes him feel a lot better. Even though you get that super dramatic moment of him being like, this is the day I'm going to win once and for all, I'll never have to come on these stupid fishing trips again, and he still ends up losing. But you really get a sense of that fatherly bond, because for both of them, they realize, even if biologically they're not family, they grew up together, he was there as a father, he was there as a son, they may butt heads so much because they aren't biologically related, which goes to show why he's not good on a fishing boat when the family is. But I like the fact that you can still tell they are family because family's what you make it. So there is that heart moments, right? There is those moments where you just feel like the show knows how to be sweet and even romantic at times, but it can just be outright goofy and just have so many just ridiculous moments where you're just rolling on the floor wondering, how can they top the absurdity that we're currently witnessing? Which a big help of that is just with its presentation. It's very simple art style, it's very simple color palette, but it's so refined to make it pop. Like, I just love seeing how it's not even just Nagi with his goofy ass faces when he gets shocked and in awe. You see it on Erika, you see it on Sachi, and just the way they can almost chibi-fy it is how I'd put it, you know, that chibi anime style. They almost turn their normal character models, but then they'll just like elongate the heads, they'll shrink them down, they'll give them the giant anime wide eyes, and it just makes them feel so much more funny, which makes it a lot more funny than if it was just kind of a little bit of a goofy face. But instead, this show's like, no, we're gonna make it absolutely Looney Tunes, and I wouldn't have it any other way, meaning that it's just an absolute perfect production for what this type of anime absolutely needs. And like, the thing that I think helps a show like this last longer than maybe a season's worth of content is there is that dramatic element, right? There is the cliffhangers, whether it's a couple episodes back with, oh, if I tell you this, everything's about to change. There's the now, oh man, you know, what is the sister gonna do? Is she gonna try to stop him from going with anyone? But like, she clearly loves her actual sister. There's a lot of weird things going on, and then there's elements where Erika herself feels like she's developing those feelings. A lot of times, the reason I get bored of these shows is because they try to be too serious for their own good, and they don't make fun of themselves, or at the very least, they're not self-aware enough to know how goofy sometimes the premise is. So you have shows that can come out like Rent-A-Girlfriend, which is just a dumpster fire, but it's hilarious to watch because of just the burning images just kind of write themselves for comedy, even if they're not necessarily trying to be that. Where a show like this, I find it knows exactly how goofy the general premise is, but they're writing all the characters involved in this premise to be amazing to follow. The parents remain to be an added addition. I love how the father is freaking out because his daughter ran away, or how he'll, in the dead of night, you know, rip him away, and, you know, you'll have Nagi with his little broom or a toy hammer trying to fight off the robbers. All the females involved have a personality. Like, they don't feel like the sister, childhood friend, random new love interest. That's what they look like on paper. But I would honestly say after watching, 9 episodes now here, like, they really do feel like Erika, Hiro, Sachi, Nagi. Like, they don't really feel like a copy and paste archetype, which you're typically used to. So, man, I still come back to episode 1 and I think about how weird and how many different things happened in those 20 minutes. And I was like, how the hell did I enjoy it? But somehow I did. And now seeing where we're at almost halfway through its 24 episode season here, I'm just honestly still impressed in a very positive way. I think the show doesn't get enough credit that I think it deserves, but it's a very fun watch and a fun one to discuss if you ask me. But thoughts if you have any, whether on last week's episode or this latest one, down below. What do you hope to see maybe in future episodes now that all the characters are kind of making their moves now? So a lot of more interesting things could happen, especially with more characters moving in. By the time we reach the finish line, I wouldn't be shocked if Hiro's in that room as well, and it's a 3-way split with the bedroom there, but I guess we'll see. So thoughts down below, leave a like if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you're new around here. Till next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.